Stimulus is flipping again and being brought back to the forefront of discussions in Congress. The past couple of days, there has been a lot of talks about stimulus checks. Lawmakers, members of Congress, they've actually been providing plans to release quarterly stimulus check. But it is not good enough. We actually need monthly recurring stimulus checks. This is still needed, especially with the increasing gas prices and inflation that is hitting now. Besides, Build Back Better is coming to the forefront. So, apparently, in an effort to get Joe Manchin on board with passing more stimulus provisions, CNA Majority Leader Chuck Schumer treated him to a private Italian dinner to discuss stimulus and stimulus packages. And as you know, this is probably going to be the only way because the Republicans do not have an appetite, no pun intended, the Italian for more stimulus spending, because they were saying they are concerned about debt and inflation since it's currently at a 40-year high. Now, Democrats, they could pass it entirely on their own because they fully control Congress. Democrats are in control of the House, the presidency, and they have that the split CNA 50-50, but Vice President Harris is the tie-breaking vote. So, if unified, they technically could pass through legislation. However, they are not unified because moderate centrist Democrats in the CNA, they don't necessarily have the appetite either for passing more stimulus and potentially adding to debt and inflation. Now, all the stimulus packages have caused the current inflation, but Democrats are saying no, that's just a small part of it. The past couple days, Pelosi says Democrats might take another pass at Build Back Better. Let's go ahead and dive right in and get you caught up on the latest world stimulus flipping back to the forefront of discussions in Congress. Now, we had already heard this vocal line by the president. He had mentioned his State of the Union address. Senator Joe has said that he's on board for more negotiation and he's actually making an effort to rewrite the bill himself and revise Build Back Better bill and additional confirmation. Nancy Pelosi said Democrats that they're going to be taking another shot to pass Build Back Better now. The article says while touting President Joe Biden $515 billion infrastructure bill, Nancy Pelosi said that Congress may take a second shot at passing a separate social spending bill that died in the US Senate last year through the budget reconciliation process. President Biden said, I want to do everything saying that we can in a bipartisan way, but I cannot confine my visions for America to what we can just do in that bill, Pelosi said. And that is why we have to get this done in the form of a reconciliation bill, just requires 51 votes in Congress. They want to pass more stimulus spending and they want to do it through the process of reconciliation, which requires a unified Democratic Party. If we can get Joe Manchin on board, President Joe Biden, it's time to step up and do executive actions in order and make it happen. Now, Pelosi was joined by 3 members of the New York Congressional Delegation, U.S. Senator representative, as well as representatives of unions like the New York City District Council of Carpenters. Now, the social spending bill was originally supposed to be passed in tandem with the hard infrastructure bill. Now, the originally $1.9 trillion Build Back Better plan passed the House last fall, but never made it past the US Senate where the Democratic leadership was unable to bring centrist Senator Manchin on board, who we are going to be discussing more about here shortly, and Italian dinners in the 50-50. The supporting Manchin and another centrist Senator Kristen Sinema is critical to the passage of any social spending bills. It's still not clear how any social spending package in the mode that Build Back Better would be able to pass the US Senate this year. Biden is now promoting a revamped version of the Build Back Better that centers on rolling prescription drug prices and other forms of cost-cutting aimed at lowering inflation. Joe Manchin says he's on board. They are working away on revamping and revising. They did little to repair their differences on how Democrats can retain power in the CNA. So, also talking about retaining power, as I mentioned, Democrats control of the Congress, and this is the midterm election years. If Democrats, let's say, do not get things passed through, they don't get things done, that voter will see that. And then when the midterm elections come up, they are likely going to be voting for the other party to start taking control and take power back, and that would be Republicans. Let's discuss passing something through, because if doing well, it's very likely to be going to losing our control of Congress. CNA Majority Leader Chuck failure last month to convince Manchin to be more of a team player has implications for the leader's ability to advance President Biden's agenda, not to mention the fate of his nominees, the two longtime friends who use frank and colorful language with each other successfully reset their strained relationship, according to Ashes, but their political dynamic remain unchanged. Inside the tutorial, Aperture, an Italian institution, tried to pursue Manchin to stop slowing down their party's agenda in the CNA. Manchin responded. So, Joe Manchin saying that it's actually the majority leader, it's your responsibility to be more persuasive to get more me on board. According to the communications director, a spokesman for Schumer declined to comment now, while Schumer in his party CNA majority leader and controls the floor schedule in the 50-50 CNA, and unbold Manchin has exerted more power at times. Thus, the way that the CNA is currently structured and 50-50 that gives a lot of power for a reconciliation process for senators. Originally, progressives wanted this to be 10 trillion, 6 trillion, 7 trillion of spending. They wanted monthly recurring stimulus checks on the federal level to everyone in the nation. They wanted child tax credits, unemployment extensions of pure PUC, the $300 per week boost, and all of these provisions. It is hard taken out because they couldn't get Joe Manchin on board. They proposed a $3.5 trillion package. Then it's getting cut down further and further, and now it's getting reduced even more. And he's saying, you're going to need to be more persuasive to get me on board.